Hello, this is Sam Crowl again from the Ping Institute at Ohio University with another Ping moment. Last time I talked a bit about Shakespeare and the plague as it affected his personal and professional life. Today I want to move on and talk a bit about how the plague does appear from time to time, mainly in the form of curses and exclamations in his plays. As many of us know, the ancient classical Greek theater was open to the report of devastation and violence, but it had to take place off stage, ab scene. And I think that's where part of our word obscene derives from, something which is not to be seen, or in our world, not to be said in a polite society. Shakespeare's theater was not like the Greek in the sense that it reveled in blood. It reveled in violence, and Shakespeare was no different than his fellow playwrights. It packed them in, as it does in our own time. And as many of you know, there's violence, remarkable violence, throughout Shakespeare, starting early in his career in Titus Andronicus, where Titus's daughter Lavinia is raped and her hands are cut off and her tongue is plucked out so that she can't report on who violated her. She does find a way to do so, however. And as revenge, her father abducts her two rapists and kills them and cuts them up and bakes them in a pie and serves that pie to their mother. The Chainsaw Massacre, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, doesn't hold any great overweight with Shakespeare's world. Macbeth gets his head lopped off at the end of the play. Even in the comedies, the characters are killed. In the Winter's Tale, one of the wonderful, sweet romances at the end of Shakespeare's career, which has probably the most famous stage direction in all of literature, all of dramatic literature, Exit, pursued by a bear, and that bear is ravenous. But it's interesting that with all the violence, Gloucester's eyes getting plucked out in King Lear, bodies piling up at the end of all the tragedies, Romeo and Juliet, Antony and Cleopatra, his two great love dramas, both pairs commit suicide. Othello strangles Desdemona, then suffocates her, then commits suicide, all on the Globe stage. What's interesting is that the plague does not make an appearance. He never creates a victim of the plague, some emaciated figure to stand in for the plague. But the word plague is everywhere in Shakespeare, as I said at the beginning, generally as a curse or as an exclamation. Kent in King Lear, who has his own rival, a servant named Oswald, calls Oswald, or calls out at him, "A plague upon your epileptic visage." And later on, Lear will offer a terrifying curse on his daughter Goneril when he says, "Thou art a boil, a plague sore, an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood." What father? Wait, what father has that language, but what father uses it to curse in that fashion? Shakespeare also uses the plague as an exclamation, and his greatest comic character, Falstaff, has it always on his tongue early in a scene in one of the raucous scenes in the Boar's Head Tavern. He says, "A plague upon these pickled herring." And at other moments he says, a plague upon this sighing and grief. It blows a man up like a bladder. Or a plague upon these thieves. Is there no more honor among men? So Shakespeare can make it work in any way he wants. He can turn it into a tragic curse, or he can turn it into a comic exclamation. What he never turns it into is a character who has the disease. Now, of course, the most famous, probably, for most of us, use of the plague as a curse is the one uttered by Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet after he has been fatally wounded. It is to that plague and that play, Romeo and Juliet, I will turn to in the next installment of a ping moment on Shakespeare and the play.